getting a bus in the town of breaks, we're getting on the train.
If anyone arrives, we'll... Yeah.
Ladies, very well snapped. Be nice.
Hang on, I get my script out. No, listen, thanks a million for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. We had some of the ladies on Thursday down in the Reco. I suppose just to give you a little brief outline of why we're here and what we're going to do is, for International Women's Day, myself and Natasha take that on down in the Reco Briar. And what we decided this year to do, we usually do a community event, but we decided because of the last 2 years, people have been distant, isolated, not connected with their friends and families. We decided to make it about women and women's stories this year.
Just about getting women together, hearing women's stories. We're all from Ballymun. We all have great experiences in Ballymun.
We won't hold that again, Shannon.
But it's just about, sharing stories, women coming together, being able to listen to each other and being able to relate.
And we have been, some people have done.
Yeah, they have done. They'd ring up and they'd say they'd have bags of wool and we'd
I
go
think
down and collect
they're the
it.
ones that was in the club and they died and they had so much wool.
Yeah. There's a lot of people like that would say they're clearing out their mother's shed or wardrobes and
That's lovely.
yeah. So their wool just be passed on.
It doesn't go to waste.
Just giving them for families and stuff.
And it's mad because you think is there enough younger women now that can carry that on. You'd hate to think that.
Yeah, it's
you know what I
And
mean?
I was only listening to the radio this morning, they're crying out for apprentices in electricians, plumbing, diggers, 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 and it's so hard because the money is so small at the beginning, but they will break it in later on. Like, once they have their papers, and especially female ones are looking for, there's not very many of them at all.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not really encouraged.
I've never seen a female electrician or plumber, you'd only be getting.
Yeah, I actually haven't myself.
Where's that? Where might apply?
It was like moving into the country. We lived in Ballycurris, so you had all the fields behind you and you had the big field in front. And it was like, you'd wake up in the morning, there'd be cows, at the rambling across from the fields, and there could be horses out the front, and it wasn't even unusual. There was a river in the Seven Pitches, that's not even there anymore. I went over trying to look for it, it's gone.
Oh, what?
A river, there used to be a little river that ran through the Seven Pitches and picking blackberries and
there used to be one in Poppin Street that was all farmland, and there was a river and cows, and we used to go up there the Sunday with the kids and they could paddle their feet and that.
And you used to get tadpoles and then you'd go with your bucket over the Seven Pitches along all the bushes and collect your blackberries. And
What was it like rearing your children back when you were a younger woman? And has Ballymun changed, in your opinion?
Mum Bal, born and bred in Ballymun, and your children?
That's it.
Well, we kind of brought the question to another women's group and they were kind of saying when they were young women, they were a mature group, and when they were young women, they remember the flats, the 8 stories, the 50 and the 4 stories, that the women would be out sitting on the steps and the kids would be playing. But if they had to go to the shops, it'd be like Mary, Catherine, you mind the kids there, where you're going. And everyone shared and everyone looked out for each other. So there was great kind of
community spirit.
Yeah.
Do you think that's changed over
big
time?
Big time.
How is it? How do you think it's changed?
I think people's kind of kidding with themselves more, do you know?
Yeah.
They're not as friendly. You really know your next door neighbour now, and they'll be moved.
You just kind of go in and go out now, just more if you see it, more on the thing. Like yourself, I suppose, you know what I mean? So you haven't got anything in common anymore, all their kids is right, you know what I mean? Not doing school runs or shopping around, all the shops not up there anymore, the way meat's only going up and down.
Yeah, and the Ballymun shopping centre was probably the congregation
exactly,
for women just to come and have the natter, just get out of the flats, come in and have the chats in the Ballymun shops and stuff.
There's no hub now in Ballymun where people meet up, there's no place, like these clubs, all these clubs are great, but there's no community kind of, like we say the shopping centre we did have, you would go over, you could spend an hour over there bumping into this body and that body, have a cup of tea, and there's nowhere kind of now unless you plan to meet up with somebody.
Yeah.
You know, go maybe over to Axis and have a cup of tea or that, you know, but there's no hub.
Yeah.
That's gone. There's no heart kind of. No heart in Ballymun now. I know there's heart in people, but
Yeah.
Did you have any challenges as young women in general in Ballymun?
I think that the fact that everybody was kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? There was no such thing as rich or poor.
They're all in the same
Everyone knows
they're
they're
all
all
struggling.
They're all on the
Yeah.
man struggle
That's
together.
right.
They're all on the man.
And because that's strong, everybody supports each other.
That's true.
And it
know,
wasn't
we're
for
now-
luxuries, it was
No.
for to manage from one week to the next.
We're now, as Brina said earlier, material things have taken over. They've taken over quite a lot. So everybody's just into their own, you know, letting the iPads or whatever you call them things that the kids sit and watch or, you know, it's all different now. We're back then, we were out on the streets playing, and I'm talking about Ballyferm as well.
You know, I used to walk out, I remember I had my son, and my son was very, very ill, and he passed away since, but I used to go out at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning and walk the streets when he was very ill, and I wouldn't do it now.
No.
You know,
couldn't
that
do
was
it now.
probably the way I was coping with it at the time.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go outside the door, and I wouldn't answer the door to anybody at night unless I knew
No.
who you were.
Yeah.
So it
We
is
were
dangerous.
just saying there now, when I was living in the flats, now this is the flats, when I was living in the flats in Shanghai, I was able to go out for the day and leave my key in the door.
Oh yeah, you were.
I could leave my key in the door and come back and still be there. And I could do that in the house in Sloan Gardens as well. Yeah.
I think it was easier years ago to raise children. Yeah, I said earlier, what was it like for our kids? When you look back to when I brought my kids here to live in Ballymun, when they went to school, they brought their own lunches and all.
Yeah.
I found back then there wasn't that there wasn't as much because they always had what they needed.
Yeah.
They might not have got what they wanted, but they always had what they needed. And going to school was a different experience even for them then because there was no competition even.
Yeah.
Like your lunch was your lunch and you didn't have a phone in your pocket.
Yeah.
You know, the kids weren't, there was no distinguishing who was who. They were all children at the time.
Yeah.
Whereas I found that now, I see a huge big difference in my grandchildren. I'm looking at, they want phones at 7 and 8 and you're going, wow, that's a huge big shift. And the image thing, you were saying things about what do we see change, and I think the kids now are all about their image very young. Like they're wearing a lot more stuff that they shouldn't be wearing at their ages and getting things done to them that is way too much, too advanced for them. So I think commercialising and
Do you think social media has a big influence on that?
Peer pressure as well. The peer pressure to look a certain way, very young, going to school even. I look at the kids nowadays and I go, how old is she? And when I tell you how old they are, I go, whoa.
Yeah.
From eyelashes to nails to tan, it's a huge big shift. And now I'm not against kids, you know, growing up and experimenting and stuff like that.
And women were going to work at, well, I wouldn't say women, children going to work at 14. Were you being skilled or was it just sewing factory, like where men?
I went to school.
Yeah.
And to this a Jew man who was came on. I still remember all the names because I hated him so much. And I went in and he was supposed to be teaching me a trade. And I went in and I was standing clipping at the back where these ladies doing their sewing, you know. And then he started bringing me in to sweep the floors. And then I ended up in the toilets, cleaning the toilets. And I was an asthmatic. And I would come home and I would be in an awful state coming home. So eventually I clicked on, she, what are you doing up in that? And then I wrote crying and told her, you're only kids. So she said, well, you're not going there. Brought me back up. And she said, I sent my girl in here to learn a trade, not to clean toilets. And she wants her money now, we're leaving. So I got 13 and 10 pence.
Did you continue to you walk when he's married and start having his kids?
You're retired 7 years ago.
I couldn't go back to work because Jacob didn't take back very well. Didn't take back very well. No, he couldn't work once he got married to her. They would find himself another job. They didn't take back. They never go back married.
So how did you manage with childcare?
No,
Going back to work.
when they got your cards, that was it. You were out, you know. And then I remember time went by, I used to claim the labour at one stage, and then I decided I'd do part-time work. And my mum whined at them, and I used to go work. When the kids were about 3 or 4, then I didn't work. And then as soon as one caught up with the other, they were 4 or 5, I went to work in school. And I used to only work part-time, very early in the morning, leaving school, fly back home before 2 o'clock and collect it. That's your job. That's the way you work.
Who was to pay for, financially you weren't independent enough to be able to pay for childcare. How are you going to manage that? Who's going to look after your kids while you are out working, satisfying the social welfare to mark another person off their unemployment list? Like, so there was no forward thinking when it came to stuff like that.
And there was no, like, thinking that, well, actually, that woman is at home doing a great job with them 2 kids. Yeah. You know, and that's not considered employment. Mm-hmm. Like, that is the most important job in the world, as all mothers know, you know, is minding and looking after your kids.
I was terrified coming out here, to be honest with you. I thought it was, they used to say it was a concrete jungle, that's what it looked like. And I have to say, years here now, and like what most of the women are saying, I don't think I'd change it.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Ballymun has served us well.
Yeah.
Like, my children are really good kids. When I look at them now, they've learned the hard way. Yeah. But they've found their feet.
I've been in Ballymun since I was 18. I wasn't reared in Ballymun. I thought I was when we came from a tenement up to Ballymun Flats, thought we were on another planet. Gifford Avenue was, coming up Gifford, I've never been on Gifford Avenue, fabulous, the sun, and I remember this really well, the sun from the trees, it used to kill me actually. I must have had a sight problem even then, but didn't know it. But then coming up and then getting the house up in Poppentry, I thought I was outside Ballymun. I'm just giving you my thing, you know, coming up to from the flats, so we lived in 4 stories, and I still see the women sitting on the steps, and Mrs. McDonald, remember Paddy McDonald, Helen and all them, sitting on the steps looking after the children because it was a green, and it was lovely. But then moving up to Poppentry, my mother, you know, there was a few kids, and I was the eldest, and then I having the field in front of us, and it was great memories, great, you know, that feeling, and the neighbours were great, and Mrs. Kavanagh would come in and ask for a cup of milk or a cup of sugar, and it did happen. But then even now I've met these 2 here beside me since I came to play school, and we have a wonderful relationship. She knew me when she was a baby.
It's not where you live, it's what you are.
So what drove you to keep pushing and keep going?
I lived for my kids. And as I say, my son, my youngest son, is blind, can't walk, can't talk. He's a baby, he's 50 years of age, he's still a baby. But my kids made me, I worked for my kids. And that's, do you know what I mean? And it came natural. I didn't find it, I know he probably said it was very hard. I didn't find it hard, because once my kids had what I wanted them to have, do you know what I mean? That was what I lived for my kids.
Anyone else? What kept you going, plodding along and just pushing?
It's the same thing.
Any mother, it's for their kids. It's for your children.
Be in your own.
Yeah.
I happen to be a mother. I didn't work.
Anywhere else than anyone. You know, a lot of the mothers who look down on, like, you hear them, it's not what child has, she's done, and then,
oh, my dress costs 500, but they're living for themselves, and something they miss, they're trying to live for their child.
Right.
It's for the education of the children, really, you know.
That's what life is all about now, isn't it? Education.
They will rise up.
We don't acknowledge that enough for ourselves as women, what we do every single day. We always put everyone else first. I mean, we forget about ourselves a lot of the time, and I think, like, you know, you're the first person to pat the person beside you and say, well done. But when do we ever do that to ourselves and say, well done, you're doing a great job, you're getting through today, and we'll see how tomorrow comes.
I empower myself. I do not rely on anybody to validate me or to give me power. I have that power. When I was told, go, use your power, and I was confused, what is she talking about? And then when I realised what she was talking about, my power, our power, collective women's power, is inside ourselves. Every single one of us has the power to do whatever we want to do. We just have to set our mind to it.
Who would have inspired you or empowered you as women in the community? Is there anyone that, like for me, I remember being a kid, and like I'm from Ballymun, and being a kid, and we were from the 4 stories, and the lifts in the 8 stories and the 15s, they kept on breaking. And of course the women were going off to the corporation all the time saying the lifts are down, the lifts are down. And I remember my mum collected me from the Holy Spirit and says, right, come on, and she's marching me across. I was only a kid, and we stood out on the Ballymun Road. And I'm kind of going, what are we doing? And she goes, grab hands. And there was a woman there, I thought it was the maddest woman I've ever seen in my life, Kathleen Murray. Had rallied all these women around. And I remember, my man goes, whatever happens, don't let go. And I'm holding her hand, and I'm looking, and there's a bus coming up, and I'm like this, going like this. And my man, but all the women standing together. And I remember I was looking up at them all going, these are amazing, but I'm going to be deaded by the bus stops. And Kathleen Murray giving it welly telling us all to.
Yes, she lived in town before she came out here. I know her from town.
She went up to bring this to the men only club and wouldn't live, sat among them, and there was men only. I said, Shamrock, and she wouldn't budge. She lived, surely lives a few doors from us, wouldn't budge an inch. She sat there, and I believe she got so dreadful abuse after that. The more she got, the more she gave back. The more she got, the more she gave back. She wouldn't budge. And a man had to back down in the end, and had to let women in. Oh, stop.
She was just a real activist for women, wasn't she? She really wanted to empower women everywhere she went.
She poured hours. She poured hours.
I'm not prepared to sit back and allow an economic investment programme to take place in the absence of a social and cultural indigenous project, losing out.
Alone. I remember even walking, I was very young when I started in the penthouse as a lounge girl, and like that I remember meeting Kathleen Murray. Now I remember Kathleen, my ma brought me to many a protest with her, and like that Vicky McGilligan and all real strong women in this community. And I remember thinking, well, who are they and what are they? I was only like small at the time, but as I grew up then, I remember meeting Kathleen in the penthouse one night, and I just remember sitting in awe of her, just listening to her stories and thinking, oh my God, I'd like to be like her one day, just listening to her.
But the women didn't shy away, like them women didn't shy away from the challenges or the problems that our community and our children faced. I mean, YAP is a community response to a community need, and that was set up by mothers sitting in a kitchen who had lost children to barbiturates and didn't know what they were dealing with, and they had to educate and arm themselves, and no better women to do it. And look, 40 years YAP is serving our community, and it's a great service, and it's multiple services in the one building. Like, you can't have a better legacy than that.
The community in Ballymun is like a million times better than any community I have ever lived amongst. It's an amazing community with the Ballymun, especially the women. Especially the women, the strong women. There's a lot of women in this community that have come through abuse, let it be mental, physical, sexual. I'm one of them. I'm a survivor, and there's a lot of women like me in this community that are just amazing, and I think I'm amazing too, but there is some fantastic women.
yes.
We all live in the
But it takes a
Ballymun
village to
area.
rear children.
Exactly.
And in old Ballymun, that's the way it was. And if your own mammy, for any reason, wasn't there, you knew you could knock to a neighbour or your best friend's
That's
mammy would
true,
look
yeah.
after you. And it was safe to go in that home.
Yeah.
You know, where you knew where was safe and where wasn't.
Yeah.
I was reared in Amakentau for the first almost decade of my life. And like my neighbours were Queenie Barnes and
Amazing woman.
Kathleen Marr, they were all.
Yeah.
And I remember my mum and the ladies, like, don't get me wrong, there was daddies in the pictures back then, but daddy went to work.
Mm-hmm.
So you were reared in a community of women, and they like all had their children washed and dressed, and they all walked to school together, and they did everything together. The difference between us and them is they didn't ask for help, they demanded it.
Yeah.
What they needed for their community or the children,
Yeah.
they didn't ask for it. It's a human right, they demanded it, and if they didn't get it, they went out and blocked the traffic, or they stopped paying the rent, or they did what had to be done. They rallied together.
I think strong women inspire me.
Yeah.
So she's a very strong woman. Lots of strong women then up in Ballymun. Like we have our friend who just recently died, Fran McVeigh. You know, she was an inspiration. When I started working in Young Ballymun, there was so many women there. God, I think there was 20 something of us, you know, but an awful lot of them were you know, well educated, more educated than me. But they were happy to sit and chat and talk to you and explain to you different things and how you could aspire to do the same kind of things, you know.
We started at last Sunday night, we started at 7 o'clock. The food didn't start getting served until about 7:05. At 29 minutes past 7, there was 150 or more dishes.
That's 24
gone.
minutes
There
and
was
it's gone.
not a single bit of food left. Like, and that's talking me bringing a pot of stew. When I'm talking pot of stew, I'm talking Rogers Industrial pot of stew. Elaine 50 curries. The Muslim sisters of Era drop us off a big huge rice, and the man that drops off the finger food gone not even 20 minutes.
So I think it's the colder weather, girls, and people are hungrier. You know, I think they're going hungrier for longer.
Think word is
you know?
spreading about us as well, because people do not live unhappy. A lot of people bring trolleys coming to us because they know we're going to help out. We got beef stew this week, oh lovely. And to see the excitement in a child for a home cooked meal break your heart. Like they're out walking the streets at 9:45, they're under 10 years old, they're starving. No wonder their girls are crying and I'm
There's
going.
a reason why they're walking the streets, isn't there?
Sometimes it's safer.
Food poverty is a really big thing in Ballymun.
Kind of little mission now is to kind of change how families are treated. You know, we should be honouring and looking at every family as an asset to themselves and their community. And that's how I go about what I do. I've had great, I suppose, role models in my life and great mentors and great women in my life that have inspired me. And I think that kind of keeps me going and pushes me on, you know, because learning for me is all about kind of learning for yourself as well, you know, and once you're learning for yourself, then you're able to give back to people.
There's no focal point in Ballymun.
No. Yeah.
It's very scattered. Yeah. Whereas, I remember the shopping centre was there, you could go over, well of course there's no phones in the early days, so you had to go and use a phone in the shopping centre.
Yeah.
Or you could go in to a coffee shop and you could go in. Of course, if I wanted to meet somebody on some of the women that, because I was involved in home health service then at that stage, I could go over on a children's dance day, meet everybody in the shopping centre, do all my business lined up, chatting with people. So I just think that the focal point, I think there's a big mistake that the shopping centre is knocked down. I mean, there's no kind of gathering space. And I remember somebody telling me about their, an uncle of theirs who used to go into the pub on a regular basis. Not because he was not because he was an alcoholic or anything, which was companionship. And it was free eating then in the winter, and they'd go in and it was that. So, but then when that all went, there was no place for the people who wanted to gather. There was no reason, because you could go into the pub and you didn't have to pay. To sit down and
They say they were going to build a new shopping centre. Not like Aldi or one of them. Proper one.
But we all sat down there. You see when the regeneration started, we should have Lock it, we do. So the stuff our ground and do what we do is the shopping centre and the crash and all that. We should have insisted that went in for because they're not building. Keep everything in.
Well, Chrissy, it's easy to say, we should have.
It was every shop, the bakers,
everything.
Yeah.
Four bakeries.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have all the quick
Yeah.
things. All the
The sand or the sawdust on the butcher's floor. And,
And we had the pennies. Remember pennies, Linda?
I don't remember pennies. I remember Shaw's.
Upstairs in the supermarket. Quins, remember there was Quins?
Yeah.
There was an escalator up and there was pennies up there.
Was that pennies?
Yeah. And Shaw's was on the corner.
Yeah, I remember Shaw's. That
was a great shop.
Yeah, yeah. And then it went to Perry's or something after.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You know, went to rubbish. Joe Wayne's and the wallpaper shop. Remember him? And
that's right, yeah.
Everything
you
needed was in
And Mr. Coffee, do you remember him? That's a small shop, he sold everything, and like, you know, especially
Home
socks, yeah.
And Home Needs used to do a club every week, so your man paid, I don't know, £1 or £2 in every week. And then it'd be whole week, well, whatever it was, I can't remember. But then it'd be whole turn to get whole club hire. So we knew curtains and we'd get ribbons and like it was brilliant. Like you loved when it was her turn to kind of
that was great job.
Yeah.
It was a great space to meet women though. You know, you'd probably go over, I remember as a kid going over with my mum and she'd be going in like that, taking off a bit, it'd be coming up to Easter, you'd be getting your little socks. And to me dad, I'd be back in an hour, about 4 hours later.
I was never only an hour. We used to, my mum used to meet our friends. We'd go to shops about 11 and just all when the breeze in for a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And it was like a little woman's club.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there was women and everyone would have their tea, everyone knew where, if someone wasn't there that morning, they'd say, where's Lily this morning or where's, and they'd have their cup of tea, go and get their bit of shopping and off home.
You don't see anyone in much now, so you don't really because of shops.
No.
Years ago you could go to the shopping centre and you could get your weekly shopping, you could get your curtains painted off.
You could pay for your kids' communion clothes and fit down. If you were to go into hospital tomorrow and you needed underwear, you couldn't get it. If you needed it in a hurry. You had to get someone to go to Dunsfield. You couldn't buy it. You can't buy a needle. Can't even buy a needle and thread.
If you could give your younger self a bit of advice, one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't take shit off men.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry so much.
Yeah.
Don't worry so much. Most of them are not to go to school and all. I think I'm doing our best when I finish school.
Be yourself and I just feel to be there for my kids, for my family, my brothers and sisters. That for me is what I
Well, I was enjoying anything that was going on. So that's what I would say to them. Enjoying everything you do.
As my mother say, you'd go to the opening of an envelope.
It's enjoying the drama. Bring yourself forward and get out.
Well, my advice would be yourself and treat everybody the same way as you'd like to be treated yourself. You're there to help people.
Good.
If you saw people in need, just go and help them.
Have to be workaholic and have more fun and enjoy it.
Yeah, brilliant.
I would tell myself not to be so insecure. At the time I would be, but not so much now, but I was very insecure, but I'm glad I've been 2 friends there. I'm getting on
So great ladies.
Friends are important.
Yeah,
absolutely.
To bring you through a lot of stuff now. We've had our arguments and all that. Not arguments, but no, you're perfect.
If you had to give your younger self a bit of advice, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question, isn't it?
So for me, if I could give my younger self a piece of advice and going forward, I'd love him to have been more confident and more just go for it. And don't be worried about what anyone else thinks, just do it, you know, and just kind of be a bit more adventurous and believe in myself a bit more.
I honestly think I wouldn't have done anything different because I think our age group were fighters.
That's it.
We fought to survive, to raise our children the best we could with what we had.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would I think I've done the best.
No.
And I've reared 6 lovely children that I'm very proud of, you know. But I fear for my grandchildren now, the society they're born up in. But my children have instilled their upbringing into them, but when they go out on the street then, that's different.
You just wouldn't like to be reared.
I honestly wouldn't change anything. It was hard. But like we survived, and
We're great women. Great women.
our generation, I think, was.
I think you
So-
coped with what you've had.
Yeah.
And
And
you
we didn't
shared.
complain, you know what I mean? And if your neighbour wanted something, you
Yeah, that's true.
and they did likewise, you know what I mean?
Well, on Christmas, I lived in the foster in Sandy Hill, and my husband was getting a bit of work, you know, on the side. And money was good, so we had a great Christmas with everything. But the girl upstairs had nothing. So everything I had, I couldn't have. But then the year after that, we'd nothing. And she had, you know what I mean?
That's the way,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was gasping to think about it. I remember there only last week when we were talking about it.
Nobody is too proud to ask, I think, don't you?
Well, the lady that lived next door to me, she moved out years ago. But this is true as I'm sitting here, you laugh. She always used to say to me, I want to make a bread pudding, have you any hard bread? But okay, there's she'd 6, I had 4. But she'd, get made on Thursday. So Betty would take in, Betty Ivers, take in all the hard bread from me, any bread that was left over. And she made the loveliest bread pudding you ever tasted. And she had a casserole dish, which was about that size and about that there. And that was full up, now, and all the curtains and all. And she'd do all that. Now, come tea time, I used to make a big thing of custard. And my Ma, we're starving, when are we getting in there? Wait till Betty sniffles out her sends in the pudding. And that was every Thursday. And I done mine with the custard and had the custard in the horse. And they're great memories, I think, to have.
And they're great to hold on to. This generation won't have them memories.
No.
They
Because
won't.
it's a shut door, they don't know anybody next door, they don't want to.
And we've learned to communicate. And we communicate through looking, through touching, through, that's how we communicate. But the youth today, it's very hard to get close to them. Even as you're walking along, because I love to look at people and say good morning and stuff like that. But I found they don't do that. Like, so something has really changed in the younger generation that I think we can give them something.
Can you say something? Sorry, what's your name?
My name?
Yes, Sandra. Sandra, I was walking with you.
Yeah.
No, you're talking about communication, you're going down the road. I was somewhere yesterday and somebody was coming up the opposite side of the road and I thought they were saying hello to me because they're on the phone. It's the usual thing. I'd say hello, but they're not talking to me at all. But I was with my grandson the other day and the same thing happened and he says, Mammy, they're not talking to you. I don't care, I don't say I'm not embarrassed. He says, you're not embarrassed, that's what you said.
Exactly.
I said, no, because I can't see them, so you have to look at the funny side.
The other day, Nanny, she said, I want to ask you a question. I said, here we go again. Family business. Why did you come to Dublin? Because I came to work. Why did you come on your own? Because there was nobody else to come. All the questions. They want to know why you done that. But I couldn't do that. She said, I couldn't leave me house, she said, and go to work on my own. Well, I said, I had to do it.
Oh, definitely had to do it.
You know, you just got on with it.
I was 21 when I got married. I was 25.
I went to England when I was 14.
Because I left England and went to Kenya.
I have to tell you the story about England now. I have to tell you.
This should be good now.
This is good.
This is good.
My sister came with me and she was a nightmare. And we used to work in this hotel. So they decided we would I like to work in the kitchen as the food. So every evening I'd bring up loads of food from all in the, but anyway, she wanted to go home. She had a boyfriend at home. Oh, she drove me mad. So I went to, station? I can't think of the name, but I know it leaves you to get the boat in Holyhead, in Dunleary, or not Dunleary,
Holyhead.
Liverpool.
Yeah. Liverpool.
Oh, right. So I went, took my case and she took her case, got there. She said, no, I said, there's your case, goodbye. She said, no. I said, she what's in your case? I said, nothing. I went back on the train. Well, oh my God, my mother wrote a letter, it was as long as that table. She said Bessie was in bits when she come home. Well, I said she couldn't be because she wanted to go home to her boyfriend, you know.
So you were 14?
Yeah, hello.
I was 20 when I come here and I had to come all the way to strangers and never knew anybody. I come over on my own.
You come over on your own here?
Yeah. I did, yeah. I met Jack in England. But he was on the building, he was working. So he couldn't come over with me, you know.
Yeah.
So I went over on my own and I had to meet his family at the station, you know. Yeah. Never know. But that was hard, I can tell you now, it really was. But his mother was an angel, though. She was lovely, she was. Oh, she was really good to me, you know. Jack, yeah. But his mother, though, she was the best ever. And she was only 59 when she died, you know. His dad was only 48.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but she took me into her home and treated me like her own daughter.
If you had to give yourself a piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
It would be to be my own best friend. It would be to believe in your own ability. It would be to talk to yourself very, very kindly. It would be that you might go through hard times, but that the sun will always rise, and that even though you think those times are hard, you'll always get through it.
Really appreciate that. I could see her getting upset.
Yeah, because sometimes things are hard.
Yeah.
But, you just keep pushing through.
Yeah.
You're having me crying now, you're
Sorry.
Couldn't be more proud of anybody than I am of this young girl. She has the potential to do so much good in this world, and like that I'll support her in more or less anything she wants to do, because I know she's gonna do amazing things.
I actually have goosebumps.
Like she's so young.
She's just amazing.
She's so young, and to have that in her at such a young age. But apart from that, what makes her different is she got up and done something about it.
Yeah.
There's so many generations in between her where there was always a need for a soup run in Ballymun.
Yeah.
Nobody else got up and did it, so I'll support her in anything she wants to do, and she knows that.